Inevitable connecting flights, brazen weather, and a short 3-day affair. This isn't the perfect setting for a tropical holiday on the beautiful island of Phuket, Thailand. However, it was the best backdrop to put the new generation Ford Ranger through its paces. Along with a handful of media personnel from Asia and South Africa, I had the opportunity to sample the latest Ford Ranger before it goes on sale in over 180 markets worldwide, including the US. The second iteration of the midsize pickup truck since Ford consolidated it into a global model in 2011. The Ranger now sits on a heavily modified version of the acclaimed T6 platform, dubbed T6.2, adding modularity to the ladder frame chassis. The three-piece construction allowed modifications such as wider tracks, revised monotube front shock absorbers, and a repositioned rear suspension outboard of the frame rails for more on-road stability, off-road capability, and ride refinement. Some form of electrification through a hybrid setup has also been made possible with the revamp, a different story for another time. As tested, the latest Ford Ranger has improved upon the acclaim of the outgoing model with the chassis updates and technological upgrades. The redesigned underpinnings promote better driving traits on both pavement and uncharted roads. The added technology amplifies the truck's slew of capabilities even further. But the increased integration of technology leaves room for improvement in terms of seamlessness and overall experience. The Ranger could also use some help from a more powerful engine as well, at least with the one I drove for this review. The Ranger is a macho-looking mid-size truck, but Ford wanted to amplify its ruggedness further in the latest model with a squared-off front fascia and more defined fenders. From front to rear, there are chiseled lines all over the vehicle, making the truck look extra muscular than before. The Ranger's face and its distinct C-shaped LED DRLs have a striking similarity to the smaller Maverick compact truck. The Ranger Double Cab WILDTRAK, which was the star of the show in the default body configuration on this side of the world, remains distinct with the gray trim on the lower bumper that connects to the meshed grille. Ford claims that the new Matrix LEDs are intelligent. In contrast to automatic high beams, the lights could stay bright the whole time but have the ability to pinpoint and shut down specific diodes that can blind oncoming traffic when detected. The shortened front overhang is evident with the new model when viewed from the side, done by moving the front wheels 2 inches forward to extend the wheelbase. This means a better approach angle, but more on that later. The silver rails over the bed not only maintain design continuity with the silver roof rails and step boards but also work as functional tie-down points when needed. Gone are the uninspired block tail lights of the outgoing model. The lights now come with LED details to keep up with the times. A functional bed should always be part of the conversation when talking about trucks. For the Ranger, I'm happy to report that Ford made sure that the rear was as practical as possible and could serve as a workstation. Just like the bigger F-150, the new Ranger's tailgate comes with slots for seat lamps. There are power outlets positioned near the tailgate, as well, demonstrated during the pre-drive briefing by charging a laptop while a block of wood was clamped on the opened tailgate. By the way, the tailgate has also been equipped with a damper, so lifting it takes only a finger. A gray bed liner is standard on the WILDTRAK, while the upper part of the bed gets plastic liners to protect the sheet metal. The polymer parts can serve as drill points for those who want to add accessories. Ford also added a handy step board for the bed, which is integrated onto the bumper for easy ingress/egress. Nifty. As the latest version of the mid-size truck, the Ranger forgoes analog controls and displays in favor of a fully digital instrument cluster and a massive 12.0-inch, portrait-oriented infotainment screen with Sync 4, at least in WILDTRAK eyes. The displays are quite legible and the contrast of colors makes the text pop, while the capacitive feature of the center touchscreen allows for quick responses. But just like most vertical infotainment systems that integrate most, if not all, controls into a hulking screen, the learning curve is steep. It took me some time before I was able to familiarize myself with the menus. Finding the around view monitor and off-road menus meant pulling over and digging into the system. The experience would have been better if it was just through a single touch of a button. Going through the rotary menu of drive modes wasn't seamless, either. There was substantial latency and the knob felt cheap, spoiling the overall experience. The biggest problem with this digital setup, at least while I was off-roading, was the fact that the rear differential lock is clustered within the infotainment screen. Granted, the control on the outgoing model was also digital, but the arrangement was better before when a physical diff lock button was clustered together with the shift on the Flight 4 WD modes. For the more traditional crowd, the new setup would be a point of contention and could potentially raise questions. Thank heavens Ford chose to separate the dual-zone HVAC controls onto a cluster of buttons and knobs, which allows for a no-look operation even whilst driving. The 360-degree camera also has one of the clearest, and most accurate, displays I've seen so far, something that was quite useful during the off-road course. Speaking of the off-road course, Ford prepared a man-made area hundreds of miles away from Phuket in the province of Krabi to showcase the Ranger's reinvigorated off-road prowess. Rangerville, as Ford dubbed it, consisted of steep rocky slopes, a water-wading traverse, slippery muddy trails, knee-deep ruts, rocky crawls, and very loose sand. Basically, Ford wanted us to go over everything but snow, which should be all covered by the preset drive modes of the truck, namely normal, eco, tow/haul, slippery, mud/ruts, and sand. These modes